Okay, so let's just dive right into a really provocative idea. We all have this image of the early Christian church in Rome, right? Peter, the popes, the center of what becomes Catholicism.
The bedrock of Orthodoxy, yeah. The one true church, from the beginning.
Exactly. But what if that's completely wrong? What if the first major Christian community in Rome wasn't proto-Catholic at all? What if it was Gnostic?
Gnostic? You mean like the heretics, who believed in secret knowledge, and that the Old Testament God was evil?
Well, not exactly evil, more ignorant. And yeah, that's the group. And this isn't some fringe theory. It's all about this one guy who almost took over the whole show, a man named Valentinus.
Valentinus. I've heard the name, but he's always painted as this arch-heretic, an outsider.
That's the rewrite. The historical record tells a different story. He rolls into Rome around 135 CE. He's brilliant, educated in Alexandria, and get this, he was supposedly taught by a guy named Theudas, who was a direct disciple of Paul the Apostle.
Wait, so he's only 1 degree of separation from the apostles themselves?
Yes. He had incredible credentials, and he was so respected, so central to the Roman Christian community, that Tertullian, one of his biggest enemies, admitted that Valentinus fully expected to be made Bishop of Rome.
Bishop of Rome? Wow. Okay, so he wasn't some guy shouting on a street corner. He was an insider.
He was the insider. He was nearly at the top. So what did he believe that got him branded a heretic later on?
Yeah, what's the big dangerous idea here?
It's a whole different cosmology. He taught that the ultimate true God, he called it the Bythos, the deep, is totally unknowable, pure spirit. From this God, a series of divine beings called aeons emanate in pairs. It's all perfect harmony.
Okay, sounds very philosophical. Where does our world come in?
It comes from a mistake. One of the aeons, Sophia, which means wisdom, tries to grasp the unknowable God directly. Her ambition causes her to fall out of harmony, and her chaotic passion creates the material world and the Creator God.
The demiurge, the God of Genesis?
Exactly. The God of the Old Testament. In this view, he's not evil, he's just blind. He's a lower God who looks around, sees no one above him, and mistakenly declares, "I am God and there is no other." It's like a middle manager who thinks he's the CEO of the universe because he can't see the real boardroom.
That is a wild take on Genesis. So where does Jesus fit into this cosmic drama?
Jesus is the rescue mission. He's sent from the true higher God, not to pay for sins or appease a wrathful demiurge, but to awaken the divine spark that's trapped inside us.
So salvation isn't about faith, it's about knowledge? Gnosis?
Precisely. Jesus didn't die for your sins. He came to reveal your true divine origins. He came to break the spell of ignorance cast by the demiurge.
So how on earth were they operating inside the main church? Weren't they using, totally different Bibles?
That's the craziest part. At first, no. They used the same books. They especially loved the Gospel of John. All that talk of logos, light, and knowing the Father, it fit their system perfectly.
So they're in the same pews, hearing the same readings?
Yes. They took communion, they baptized, they read from Matthew, Luke, John, but they heard a different message. For them, the Scriptures weren't literal history. They were a book of symbols, a treasure map to the soul.
So the resurrection isn't about a physical body coming back to life?
For them, no. It's the inner awakening, happening right here, right now. Baptism isn't washing away sin. It's being reborn into gnosis. They were speaking a coded language right under everyone's noses.
Or maybe everyone was speaking their language, and a new dialect came later?
Now you're getting it. They weren't infiltrators, they were the community.
Okay, but hold on. What about the popes? You know, the official list. Peter, Linus, Cletus, Clement. That whole chain of apostolic succession that the Catholic Church is built on.
I'm glad you brought that up. That list is a piece of historical politics. Where does it come from? The first person to write it down is Irenaeus, around 180 CE. He's in Gaul, not Rome, and he's writing specifically to create a history that establishes a clear line of authority to shut down his rivals, like the Valentinians.
So you're saying it's a retroactive construction?
Think about it. We have 0 surviving letters, sermons, or writings from any supposed bishop of Rome before about 160 CE. Nothing from Linus, nothing from Cletus. But we have tons of material from their enemies admitting how powerful and respected the Valentinians were in Rome at that exact time.
The silence is the evidence.
The silence is deafening. The group we call Orthodox had to build their authority. The Valentinians already had it. They were the majority voice before Orthodoxy even got its act together.
And then we found their books, right? The Nag Hammadi library.
The smoking gun. Buried in the Egyptian desert for 1,600 years, found in 1945. We found things like the Gospel of Truth, likely written by Valentinus himself, the Gospel of Philip, the Tripartite Tractate.
And what did they show? Was it just fringe nonsense?
Not at all. It was deeply spiritual, philosophically rich, and coherent. It wasn't the ramblings of a cult. It was a sophisticated alternative vision for Christianity.
So why did they lose? Why are we talking about popes and not the pleroma?
Because Orthodoxy, as a movement, was better at organizing. It created a simple creed, a clear hierarchy, and eventually it got the backing of the Roman Empire. And when you have the empire on your side, you get to decide who's a heretic. You get to burn their books and write them out of history.
Wow. It's a story of the winners writing the history books, literally.
It is. And think about the what if. What if Valentinus had become bishop? What would Christianity be like today?
No original sin, no hellfire and damnation.
A God you're meant to know, not just obey. A religion of inner revelation, not external authority. It wouldn't be about blind faith. It would be about remembering the divine spark you carry within you.
It's a totally different spiritual path. Less about appeasing an angry God and more about self-realization.
Exactly. For a brief, shining moment, that was the dominant form of Christianity in the capital of the world. The proto-Catholics weren't the mainstream. They were the upstarts.
Orthodoxy was the breakaway group, not the other way around.
That's the uncomfortable truth. Then came the rewrite. And we've been living in that version of the story ever since.